All right. Hello and welcome to Critical Conversations. I'm your host, Karissa Dean. Doing that fancy mic check again. Sorry, guys. I always forget before I press record. So thanks for hanging with me as we navigate this microphone, which, by the way, for those of you who have been listening for a while, I just want to say thank you for muddling along. This mic is incredibly sensitive, and I've been resistant to buy a different one because I don't know if they're going to get better or worse. So I've just been trying to figure out what the proper distance is, try to sit still and in the same spot, which is hard for me to do because I get really excited. I like to move around. If you are watching the video at all, you can see like I'm like a freaking dancing robot over here with my hands. Anyways, this mic is like super strong. So it literally picks up every breath or sniffle. And as you guys know, I deal with chronic allergies here living in the Pacific Northwest. There's mold, there's rain, it's all the things, right? And I live at a 100-year-old house. So anyways, thanks for riding the wave with me as I do these mic checks and figure it all out. I'm really excited about today's topic. I know I always say I'm really excited, but I always am. You know, I love this work. I love what I get to do. You know, I've really enjoyed being on the podcast. We're coming into year one, like time to celebrate. I think I was looking and I have like 40 plus episodes out on all the different platforms. Started off bi-weekly, at some point decided, wow, I have a lot of backstock. We should go weekly, and have just been loving it, and when I'm recording, I usually am recording and then it's like a month or so out. Every now and again, there's issues where I have to re-record or whatnot, but it has been a really fun learning curve, and I feel like very therapeutic for me. So I hope that it's beneficial, therapeutic, and lovely for you. Today's topic is something a little bit sensitive, so I do want to add that disclaimer here. And I also just want to say, for the people who are tuning in, we all have our own experiences in life, and we all have our own opinions and perspectives. And what I am sharing here is mine. This is a podcast where I truly am open to all the different modalities, the different beliefs, the different ways of healing. I'm really open to anything, but mostly what I'm sharing is what I have direct experience with and, my vulnerable, honest truth. So it is opinionated, right? It's from my perspective. And I want to encourage you to always take everything with a grain of salt and find your perspective, find your opinion, find your truth. I tell clients and people all the time, there are three truths. There's the truth, the thing that's happening outside of us. There's my experience, and then there's your experience. And so if we can hold on to that, expansive belief where it's not all hard and fast, it's not black and white, that there is, different reasons why we ingest things at different periods of our lives. There's reasons why we take things personally. There's, triggers and traumas and all these things. So what I want to say is I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. And as I'm growing and evolving and continuing my education, continuing my personal development journey, there's more and more and more of that. And so I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here as I'm evolving. I constantly am reflecting on my journey and my path. And yeah, there's a lot of things that I would have done differently. I would have coached people differently, but now I know things I didn't know back then. I would have showed up to conversations and kept my mouth shut more. There's a lot of things I would have done differently on my path, but I look at those things and I'm like, yes. And if I hadn't done it that way, I wouldn't be the version of me that is here today in front of you. And I happen to really enjoy the version of me. I really love my life. I've worked very hard to gain this growth mindset where I really do feel at peace 90% of my time. Do I have aches and pains? Do I have grumbles? Yeah, of course. Do I battle, 3D humanness things? I get unexpected bills that trigger me. I get sick. I have digestive issues. I argue with my husband. I almost killed Ruby last night. Like I'm still human. I'm an imperfect human. I say the wrong things. I do the wrong things. And I think to myself, God damn it, why are you so dumb? Like, I'm an imperfect being. I have body dysmorphia that I battle, where I look in the mirror and I say negative things, and then I have to stop and I have to really change my perspective. So, as an imperfect being, my goal here is to help validate you and to help you feel like you're not alone. I think 100% of my clients love just knowing that they're not alone, knowing that someone else had a similar experience, or someone else had a similar, dynamic or struggle, or, insert whatever. But like, we all want to feel validated, and we want to feel as though we're not isolated, we're not alone. And while you are a unique individual, I do want to validate, like, everyone's going through shit and going through something, and everyone has a past, and that past can have really big impact on the way that we can show up in our present moments. And I'm really navigating, some interesting dynamics with my family and different friendship relationships. And I've been supporting clients in a really unique way, a new way. It's new for me. And I want to share a little bit about that. So in the last 6 months, I have had multiple clients really, we're trying to get to the root cause. I'm a big believer in, we got to feel it. We got to name it. And only once we go there, like once we go into the weeds and we name it and we're clear about it, only from that point do you then have the ability to overcome it. Otherwise, I think there's a form of bypassing where we're like, yeah, that happened and whatever, like I can logicize it and move on. Yes, but do you fully accept it? Like, can you see it in a new way? Not a triggering way, but like with no bodily reaction, just like with compassion, that version of you that went through that thing, can you name it? And I've worked with my counselor on naming some of my childhood traumas, one of them being abandonment. Did my parents actually abandon me? No, but there was a part of my experience in my childhood where I did feel alone. I felt like I had to just take care of myself. And it's interesting because I didn't know that that existed. But the moment I got into those weeds, I named that thing and I befriended it and I understood it. It's like it opened this whole new world for me where I could see how I was self-soothing and protecting myself to avoid future abandonment. And it's so interesting because the more you're willing to kind of look at those things, I think that's where the true enlightenment and inner peace comes from. So I've had clients come to me recently, new clients and old clients. So like a mixture of both. And we're trying to like get into these weeds, and we're just going layers and layers deeper. And when we hit it, it fucking like, it rocks my world and it rocks their world. Because here are the things that we're getting to. I was only ever told to be a good wife and keep my mouth shut. I was told that I better be really good at child rearing because I was worthless otherwise. I was pushed to be a really good house cleaner and chef because that's all my mom identified my worth was. I was told to be really good at sex because that's all I could ever give anyone. I was told to play small and keep my mouth shut because a woman's place is in the kitchen. I was never encouraged to dream big or think beyond a housewife. I never heard my dad tell me he loved me. My mom self-soothed and was unavailable for any compassionate conversation. These are examples of what I'm hearing. A few of them are mine. And it really breaks my heart. And this topic is so important because we live in a world where truly, truly anything is possible. I think we've seen that in the right personality, the right person pushes forward and creates amazing things. I mean, we can look at the examples as big as Oprah and the smaller examples. You know, I can think of a female entrepreneur here in Portland who has revolutionized purses. We can think expansively about the billionaires of the world, or we can just look for the real human examples in our local communities, the small business owners, the small politicians, the school board leaders, the different women who are executives and CEOs of smaller organizations, and writing books and doing things on a more local community scale. It truly is. We live in a world where there is possibility and there is opportunity. And it's unfortunate that so many of us allow these narratives, these stories of keep quiet, be a good girl, this is all there ever is for you. It's sad that we live in a world where that is such a true reality for so many women. And it's even more interesting to me that the women I'm coaching are entrepreneurs. A lot of these women are doing absolutely fantastic in their industries, and they're paving ways, but they're carrying this deep burden, this younger version of them that is scarred, traumatized. And I think it's so important for this conversation to happen because I know that resonates with a lot of people, a lot of women. We live in an era where women have truly only been able to vote for 100 years. Mind-boggling when you think about how long the world has been spinning and humans have been, doing whatever they're doing. Really, women weren't in the workplace until recently. There were certain roles like, as seamstresses or as cooks or housekeepers or, child rearing, being midwives, being doulas. But really, there's this patriarchy, and believe what you want about it. The reality is I think we're doing pretty fucking good for the fact that we're still new to having an opinion, to being allowed to have an opinion, to being allowed to create. I don't know what the exact number is, but I've heard that women couldn't get loans without a husband for a long time. So I think about, a lot of the women who were widowed at a young age, like we're talking, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like women couldn't get a business loan. Women couldn't get like a standard loan to buy a house. I mean, it is just now 2024. Like, wow. In my lifetimes, that means that my mom didn't have a whole lot of rights. And it means my grandma was pretty fresh to having rights. So here I am trying to fight this patriarchy, and I have so much, frustration with the way I was raised and the conversations that were had. But I'm realizing, right, as I'm learning and I'm opening myself up to understand more, that really it's so new and it's such a foreign concept. And I think part of what really helped me heal a lot of like mother wounds and childhood stuff is really finding that perspective and really like putting the math on the paper and being like, fuck, when I was born, women were like just able to vote and like have an opinion. Like what? And like I'm talking about like the privileged white woman. Like this doesn't even touch on the indigenous people, on the, you know, Pacific American, Asian, the black, the Latino, the, you know, I mean, I'm gonna miss somebody, but like there's so many other women cultures that are still behind. So me as a white woman sitting here being privileged and being angry that my mom didn't do better. But then if I sit down and I look at it on paper, I'm like, fuck, she didn't know how to do better because she wasn't taught. And all of these concepts are so new still. You know, it's like if you think about, okay, I'm 37 now. And I think about where I was 30 years ago. I'm 7 years old, so I'm just a little bit younger than Ruby. I don't know that Coca-Cola is bad. I don't know that Lucky Charms are made with all like processed ingredients. I don't know that like people are kidnapping children. Like I don't know, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. And so I think about like how we grow and we gain perspective, right? I didn't know what 5 times 5 was when I was 2, right? You learn and you grow. And the difference is that some of us learn information, right? Like some of us learned that Lucky Charms, like maybe I think I was like 15 or something, and I learned that Lucky Charms were really not that good for you, that Coca-Cola was probably not the best, like most nutritious option, that really my stomach, you know, reacted to certain things and I should probably eat more vegetables, right? Like I really like, I started to learn those concepts when I was 15, but when did I actually implement them? In my 20s? Like when you think about, yes, the information is out there, but more so, are we at a point where we can implement the information, right? Like we know that meditation is good for you. We know that exercise is good for you. We know that water is good for you. We know that sunlight is good for you. How many of us are actually implementing the information and doing something with a conscious decision about it? Like how much of our time is actually spent really being active and like, oh, let's apply this information. And so if I put it in perspective, it gives me a little more compassion. It allows me to find grace. It allows me to see that, yes, the information is out there. Yes, when we know better, we can and we should do better, but we have to choose that consciously. And not all of us have the ability to make that conscious choice. For whatever reason, there's many, many, many reasons that hold us back from going to the yoga class or signing up for the gym or waking up at 5 or whatever. Not watching the next episode on Netflix when it says, "Are you still there?" Being proactive and choosing to identify your trauma, choosing to name your trauma, choosing to gain perspective, choosing to kind of put it on paper and be like, wow, hot damn. Let's keep making choices. Let's keep being involved, you know? And I think that is why I love coaching, because really what it is, it's curiosity. It's like, okay, I can learn. I can always continue to learn. I can keep getting to know better. And then I get to do something about it. And I get curious about what those pathways are. And I get to really be an active participant in my life. I get to really create what I want in my life because I'm willing to get curious. I want to learn more. And I think the complacency of our society is what gets in our way. Well, we've been doing it this way forever, and what shit bit of good has that done us? You know, I really don't care what you believe. I think when you have information, you get to find a new pathway. When you learn something new, you get to create a new pathway. That's what your brain does. That's what all those neurons are doing. You learn something new, myelination is built, right? A new pathway is built. But at some point, we like decide, oh, this is it. You know, it's like you build your checklist, you know, get married, have kids, get a job, you know, reach 6 figures, like whatever your checklist items are. And then it's like complacency sets in. You're like, okay, I'm done. I did it. Then what? You just die? Like, what? No. I woke up this morning and I was so fucking fired up. I was like, man, I'm going to change the world. And I don't know if that means 100 million people or 100 people, but motherfucker, I'm going to do my best to change the world. And I'm going to do that through the modality that empowers me, excites me, and hopefully empowers and excites others. I get it. I cuss a lot. I'm pretty unconventional. I live a very unconventional life. I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm willing to own those. I'm willing to look at those. I lean into difficult conversations, even though I feel like 90% of the time, those difficult conversations, I just want to, you know, go drink and avoid it or shit my pants and pretend like I never asked to have the difficult conversation. But I have them. I show up to the table, I sit down and I do it because I want to create something different. I don't want Ruby to have that narrative. You know, I remember distinctly my grandma. I love her so much. She's this G thing. She was a fucking rock star. She worked at the Social Security office. She struggled getting pregnant and having kids. She grew up during the Depression. You know, she was very generous with her money. She, you know, was very fucking loyal to my grouchy grandpa, which I love him as well, but he died young of heart issues because he was so fucking freaked out all the time and yelling and screaming and slamming on the brakes, you know. But I remember my grandma straight up told me, I was dating a black guy, and she straight up told me, you can have your fun right now, but those aren't the type of men that we marry. You need to marry someone. And she used the example of an ex from high school. You should marry someone like that. He comes from a good family. His family has money, and he will be able to take care of you. So that younger college version of me ingested these words and started to realize, oh, fuck. I better find somebody who's going to take care of me because I can't take care of myself. That was the narrative. And I think back on that now, and I love my grandma so much, but I wish she would have told me that I could take care of myself, to pay attention to my career, to, you know, if I want to have a family and I want to find a partner who can take care of me, go for it, but also take care of yourself. I wish she would have taught me more about finances. I wish she would have sat down and held my hand and cried with me and, you know, helped me identify how to pay off my credit card versus just paying it off for me. I wish she would have taught me hard lessons, but she didn't. And now I'm 37 years old, and my 30s have all been these hard lessons about credit cards and interest rates and investing and losing and, you know, relationships and how to, you know, empower myself and how to build a fucking career at 30 years old versus 20. It's a lot harder to build a career after you've gotten married, after you've had kids, after all your shit's kind of tangled up with somebody else. It's a lot harder to be like, oh, also, hi, yep, we've been together for a long time. I would really like to have a career now. Like, what? Talk about a 180. Like, the conversations we need to be having with our children is, you got you. You got you. This is why I'm always telling Ruby to advocate for herself. You want something at a restaurant? Order it for your damn self. You got a mouth, you got eyes, make eye contact, raise your hand, get what you want. You want something? Go get it. That's the lessons we need to be teaching the younger generations, because no one's going to fucking save you. Like, the reality is grandma, that was great advice, kind of, if I want to live in a Disney movie. But the reality is I needed to know how to stand on my own two legs. I need to know how to manage money. I need to know how to, manage my own emotions. I need to manage and self-regulate. I need to know how to live without anyone and take care of myself and choose myself. And from that place, then I get to go out and I get to do rad things with other people and teach other people and help other people. But the problem is that's not how we were raised. As little girls, we were not raised to do it ourselves. Girl, you can do whatever you want, but you got to go out there and try, and you're going to fail. I failed. Multiple times I've failed. Can't even tell you how many times I've failed, and I'm still failing. But I keep showing up because I believe that I can have more. And I believe that at the age of 37, it's not too late. I don't think 47 is too late. I don't think 57 is too late. I don't think 67 is too late. I think that you can reinvent yourself at any point in time, and you can decide to take care of yourself by understanding who you are, how you want to be in this world, how you want to relate to others in this world. But you got to start advocating for yourself, asking for what you need, and make it happen for yourself. I am here today because I didn't give up on this dream, because I kept saying, I really believe that this is what I'm supposed to do. I don't know why, but I'm here. I'm going to do it. And Nigel would always tell me, he's like, dude, the amount of energy and time and effort you're putting into this business, you could have some random online shit store and be selling whatever you want to sell and never have to work again in a day in your life. Or he's like, the amount of money you've invested in getting your ICF certification, getting your yoga teacher training certification, getting, your social emotional learning facilitator, all the books, he's like the master classes, all the mentors, he's like, all this money you've invested, he's like, you could have bought a property and been living off the rental income. You could have invested in stocks and been a millionaire. And he's not wrong. I've spent a lot of time and money trying to make this coaching business work. He is not wrong. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent trying to make this work. Through certifications, through high-ticket mentorship, through this masterclass or this course or this website developer or this SEO expert or this PR person or this, literally. And when it started to work is when I stopped chasing all those investments and I started to just sit with myself. I got somebody willing to just help me figure out who I was and why I was in this and what I wanted to do with it, and I think it was the moment it clicked for me. And when the business really did start to work was when I realized I got me. I can do this. I'm smart enough. I know how to use Google. I can listen to a book about SEO. Do I like it? Do I want to be an expert at it? No. Is it better to hire somebody? Maybe. But you got to hire the right person. Lots of time and energy and money go into that, And so I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing one investment over the other or getting certifications, or I don't think there's anything wrong in that. But I'm saying that's my path, right? As I decided that was the way that I was going to go. That's not the way Nigel would have gone. That's not how he would have built his life. He would have done something different. He would have taken all that money and bought a property and just kept doing what he's doing and lived off the income of that property. That's not my path. What's your path? That's not, I mean, what I'm doing right now is sure as shit not what my mom would have done. It definitely isn't what my grandma would have done. They would have stayed in their lane, stayed in their corner, done their, like, you know, volunteering and worked at the church and volunteered at the high school and, like, you know, but I'm thinking bigger because I can. Because at some point somebody was like, Karissa, you could think bigger. And I was like, wait, what? No one's ever told me that. No one ever told me to think bigger, to dream bigger, to stretch myself, to reach beyond the quote unquote normal. So if no one ever told you to dream bigger, let me be the first to tell you, dream bigger. Fight for it. Put your feet on the ground, put your hands in the dirt, do the work. Who are you? What do you want to create? What do you want to have? What's the legacy you want to leave behind? You want to just be a good mom? Absolutely fucking amazing. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to be president? Go, get it. Tell me where to sign. You want to cure cancer? You want to fly to the moon? You want to be a writer? You want to be a dancer? You want to be a painter? You want to be an artist? You want to be a coach? You want to be a therapist? You want to start a coffee shop? You want to be a restaurant owner? You want to create a clothing line? Do it. You can do it. There's books out there that will help you get there. There are coaches out there that will help you get there. There are people who do believe in you. Find those people, fucking cling to your dream and go. Don't stop. We need people to decide that what they can create is more powerful than their limiting beliefs. Go create. You're worthy of it. You can do it. And I promise you, the moment that you look to those traumas, you look to those limiting beliefs, and you decide that you get to be bigger than those, everything starts to change. But you got to go there first, 100%. You do got to lean into some gnarly shit sometimes. I think you're amazing. I really do. I really believe that the world is going to radically change the more we push the dreamers, the outcasts, the visionaries, the creatives, the naysayers to follow their gut, to do what they came here to do. To be more than their limiting belief, to be more than their trauma, to be more than their circumstance. You can change your circumstance. We see these stories all the time. You can do it too. Don't look to that and say, oh, well, they had this, this, and this, which is why they're successful. No. Look to it and say, yes, me too. And go and do it. Look to it as a beautiful example of what's possible in this world. Look to it and say, yes, get it, girl. Me too. I'm coming. I'm going to do it too. Told you it was going to be a powerful conversation. And I honestly think that it's one of the most critical ones we might ever have. Get it, girl.